Yashashwini and I am very excited to present our group project named TaskForge. We are team of creative sparks and I am joined by amazing teammates Rupa and Vashta. Let's go to our project. TaskForce is actually a task management web application built using React.js. The main goal of our project is to help users organize their daily tasks and more efficiently. Users can add, view, and manage tasks in a simple and user-friendly interface, whether it's for personal use or for team collaboration. TaskForce makes staying on the top of your work much easier. In this video, I will walk you through the key features of TaskForge and explain how we built it and show a quick demo of how it works in a real time. Let's go from beginning. First I created a welcome.jsx and it's a landing page. This is actually home page where users first see. This includes a navbar, background animations and two main buttons, get started and login. You can see it here. And navigation is handled using React router. So next I have created about.js section and it's all about describes what TaskForge is and why it is useful, and explain that it's a task management tool to help users stay organized, productive, and also focused. It has a clean layout and a back button to homepage. And next, I have created features.jsx. It's a feature page. It has a list core features like task creation. Here it's a task creation, AI suggestion, and process tracking, and also a push notification. Here you can see all those, and each feature appears with an icon and an animation. You can see that here, and it also includes a back button to return to the home page. And next I've created contact.jsx, and this is actually a contact page which provides contact info including email, phone number, and address. You can see all that here, and it also contains a back button. It encourages feedbacks or queries from users. And next, let's go to register.js section. It's actually a sign up page. It allows new users to create an account using Firebase authentication, and also users from the validation error messages and success stories. On the success sign up, users are redirected to the dashboard, and it also handles errors like email already in use, invalid email, weak passwords, and you can see all that here. And it also says when registration is failed. You can see all this code. And next I have created login.js section. It's a login page. Authentication users using Firebase login. You can see all the code here, and shows error message for wrong credentials or too many attempts. It includes a button to switch to the registration page if you need. It's all the code. Once I have shown the code, let's go to our project. Okay. This is actually the front page of our project. You can see it's about, as I already told, it's all about TaskForge app, and it also has a back button. And these are the features As I have mentioned all these features in the code, and I have also shown these all features. And this is the back button, you can go up. And when it comes to the contact, you can see all the information, email, phone number, address we have seen in the code, and it also has a back button. And if you want to get started and this is the first time you are using this app, then you can use get started, or else you can use login if you already have any account. So rest will be continued by my friends.
Hi everyone, I'm Rupasri. I'm the second team member of this group. Now I'll explain some of the files of our project. So firstly I'll explain a chatbot.js file. Here the first line is to import React and use state to manage the state, and the second line is to import chatbot CSS for styling. And as part of the code, here this is open is to whether the chatbot is open or hidden, and this messages is to all the chat history. Input is to store what user types. Here, this part of the code is to send user messages, get spot reply, updates chat history, and clears the input. And this part of the code is to generate replies based on the keywords like add, delete, edit, complete. And this part of the code is a container with toggle header. Here the messages are shown in scrollable area and it contains input field and send button. And this line is to makes the component available to use elsewhere. Now I'll explain the CSS of this AI chatbot.cs. Here this part of the code is to create a floating style chart window. This part of the code is to style clickable header to toggle chartboard open or close. And this part of the code is to display messages with different background colors and alignment for user or bot. And this part of the code is to styles input button and borders and hover effect with colors. This part of the code is a container that holds everything in one box. Now I'll explain the private root.jsx file. Here this line is to import React and this line is to import routing future and this line is to import Firebase code to check if the user is logged in. Here, this part of the code checks if the user is logged in or not. If yes, it shows requested page, and if not, it redirects to the sign in page. Here, this line is to make the component usable in root setup. Now, I'll explain the task details model.jsx file. Here, this line is to import React, and this line is to import CSS styling for the model. And this line is a function component that accepts like the selected task object and the function to close model, function to edit, function to delete, function to toggle completed status. And this line is to if the no task is selected, it return nothing. And this part of the code is to display task title at the top and model background and content box. And this part of the code is to show task description and due date. And if not available, it fall back to default text. And this part of the code is to show whether the task is completed or still in progress with file style. And these four are the buttons edit, complete, delete, and close. And this line of the code is to make the component usable in other files. Now I'll explain the CSS of this task details model.jsx file. Here, this part of the code is to create a dark background overlay and center the model. And this part of the code is to model box with padding, rounded corners, and a slide animation. This part of the code is to smooth slider, entrance fit. This part of the code is to style the model heading. This part of the code is to buttons are spaced evenly on wrap definited. And this part of the code is to having padding to all buttons, no border, and smooth hover effects. And this part of the code is to each button gets its own color and hover shade. And this part of the code is if the task is completed, it shows in green color. If the task is in process, it shows in orange color. Now I'll explain the dashboard.jsx file. Here, this part of the code is to import React hooks, components, routing, and Firebase configuration. And this part of the code is to import Firestore functions, Firebase, cloud messaging, and CSS. And now this part of the code is to small notification box for success or failure messages. And this part of the code is to manage tasks, selected tasks, form inputs, reminder notification, and toast. And this part of the code is to get the currently logged in user. And this part of the code is to ask browser for notification permission. And this part of the code is to get FCM token needed for push notification. And this part of the code is to display notification if a message errors when the app is open. And this part of the code is to calculate today's and tomorrow's date to compare task due dates. And this part of the code is to fetches tasks from Firestore for the current user and listen for the real-time updates. And this part of the code is to run every minute and calculates if any task is due within 5 minutes. And this part of the code is to show system notification and avoid showing again using notify tasks. And this part of the code is to display browser push notifications. And this part of the code is to add or update task in Firestore, shows toast of the action. And this part of the code is to reset form fields and hides toast after 3 seconds. And this part of the code is to handle clicking task, deleting toggle complete. And this part of the code is to load task data into form for editing. Now I'll explain the CSS of this dashboard. Here, this first line is to import the Poppins font from Google Fonts for better UI text. And this part of the code is to apply default font and beautiful gradient pattern and disable scrolling and sets-based styles. And this part of the code is to main layout of the dashboard it is, and it is for column-based full height with spacing between the sections. And this part of the code is to sticky white header with blur background and rounded corners. And this part of the code is to styles welcome message on the left side of the header. And this part of the code is to align the settings button on the right side of the header. And this part of the code is to purple rounded button with white text on how it becomes slightly transparent. And this part of the code is to stack form elements ethically with spacing. And this part of the code is to input fields, text area, and button are styled equally with nice padding and form. And this part of the code is to prevent resizing and sets minimum height for text area. And this part of the code is for styling purple add task or update task button. And this part of the code is to scrollable section showing the list of tasks. And this part of the code is to add space on first task bar. And this part of the code is to white box with slide shadow, however it grows a little. And this part of the code is to black pop-up at the bottom for toast messages like task added. And this part of the code to smooth animation for the toast. And this part of the code is to positions the chartboard in bottom right corner. And this part of the code is to style for the button that opens the chartboard. And this part of the code is to welcome banner with nice design. And this part of the code is to makes dashboard work well on a mobile by adjusting font, padding, etc. And this all part of the code is the small neat scroll bar for task list. Now I'll explain the settings or JSX file. Here this line is to import React hooks and use state and use effect, and this part is to import Firebase auth configuration, and this part is to update username, update password, delete account, and delete login status, and verify password. And this part of the code is to use navigate helps us to go back to dashboard or other pages. And this part of the code is to hold values from input fields, elect messages, and a logged in user data. And this part of the code is to whenever this page loads, we check if a user is signed in and refill their name. And this part of the code is to Firebase requires re-authentication before sensitive actions like password change or delete. And this part of the code is to update the user's display name in the Firebase. And this part of the code is to update the password in the Firebase, and it will re-authenticate to update the password. And this part of the code is to delete the account or Firebase of the password re-verification. And this part of the code is to input sections for display name, back button, title, alert, message display, and each section is styled separately in the CSS. This is all about the settings.jsx file. Now I'll explain the CSS of this settings.css file. Here this line is to clean start plus use select form. And this part of the code is to beautiful pink purple background with no side scroll. And this part of the code is to center the form both vertically and horizontally with scroll enabled if needed. And this part of the code is to round blurred fostered glass effect card with a shadow. And this part of the code is to make bold title center at the top. And this part of the code is to yellow alert box with friendly error or success messages. And this part of the code is to clean and neat design for labels and input fields. And this part of the code is to purple gradient with nice over scale effect. And this part of the code is to bold and background for delete button and dark hover. And this part of the code is to purple rounded button that floats at top left and task takes user back. And this part of the code is to red color warning for delete section. And this part of the code is to ensure layout looks good on smaller screen and shorter displays. And this is all about these files. Thank you.
Hello all, I'm the third member of this team Creative Sparks. In this video, I'm explaining about the TaskForge application, a part of 401 full stack course, which was teaching in my college. Now I want to explain some basic information about TaskForge application, then after I continue the explanation of codes and how to use the app. TaskForce is a productivity focused web application developed by our team to simplify task management. It features Firebase authentication, real time updates, and a sleek React.js Power Dashboard. I am the third member of this team, contributing to both front-end functionality and user experience. My friends already explained the codes of welcome page, register, login, dashboard, and also AI assistant inside the dashboard page. Also the settings page. Now I want to explain about the Firebase configuration, app.js, index.js. Before that, I am telling you that this task force app is completely based upon React only. This is a framework of JavaScript in front end of full stack web development. When I install the React app, it initialized the folder's name like public src and files like gitignore, package log.json, readme.md. These all are initialized when I created a React app. Inside the src, I created some other folders like components, firebase, pages, styles, uh, and app.js, index.js, report web vitals.js. These all are initialized when I created a React app. Inside the components, I created some JSX files. In this Firebase folder, I created a file name config.js, which was I initialized the Firebase is first go to the Firebase website. Here I created one account with my credentials. I created a project name called TaskForge. After entering into it, I seen some symbol like settings. Then I entering to the project settings, web apps. Here you can add a web app, then the base code, then paste it, copy it, and then paste in this file. Here you can paste it. The app.js file tells about this. This is the main component of the task force. It sets up routing using React Router, manages user authentication with Firebase. I will show you later when I was running the app. And also it includes public pages like welcome and login, and protects dashboard and settings using a custom private root component. I just show you once, just see one by one. When I export, sorry, now and explain about the index.js. This is the entry point of the TaskForce app. It imports the main app component, applies global styles including those notifications, and renders the app into the root HTML element using React DOM. Now I run this code. Let us see how it was working. First, give a command like cd TaskForce. Here cd means change directory, and the TaskForce is the name which I created my folder. Next, enter npm start. Now it will reload and opens the web application, that is TaskForge application. This is my welcome page. In the navbar, I put three component names, that is about features, contact. Just open and see. It will showing all about the TaskForce. Also, if you have any update queries or any feedback I want to change, you can contact to the email. Here, this is my welcome page. When enter into the get started, thereafter after entering into the register, after giving credentials in the register page, then it directly navigate to the dashboard. Thereafter, you can give any task name and also any description and also the due date, which in time you had to complete the task, and click on add task. Then it display notification like a task added. Then click on added task. It will show some options like edit, mark complete, delete, close. When you click on edit, the editing option, that is updating option, will appear. Then you can update anything like this. Then it shows task updated. If you click on mark as complete, the task progress is showing that complete, or otherwise the task is in progress. When you click on delete, the task will be deleted permanently. When you click on close, it will back to the dashboard page. This is my static assistant. What this shows, what will display, I can show you once. When you enter add, it displays the description like to add a task, fill in the form and click add task button. These are all you know. This will also show update, delete also. Now go to the settings page. If you enter any name, the name will be updated. Go back to the dashboard, it will displays the name here. Also, if you want to change or update the password, you can first enter the registered password, then after you can enter new password. I will show what this shows later. How the data uses data with already registered in my app, the data will be shown here. How it displays, I will show you once. This is my email which I entered into the app, and in this it will shows the tasks. See, this is my task which I entered now. In this way, the task details will be shown here. That's it. When you come back to the app, when you went to the settings page, if you want to delete the registered email, then click on present password. Or if you update any password, then enter that password in this danger zone placeholder, then only the delete account, then only account deleted successfully. Now it redirects to the login page. Now enter the register page and sign in. Otherwise, if you have any account which was already registered, then login accordingly. Thank you.